How's it going, guys? In today's video, we're going to be giving pretty much all of my thoughts and predictions on today's game versus the Dolphins that I haven't already put out there. I probably will re-say some of the ones I've already said, but this is for Dolphins fans and for Patriots fans, really, because I'm going to be giving points to both teams, kind of like why they could win, how they could win, the keys to victory for both teams. It's going to be an interesting one, and I hope both fans can appreciate this. Sometimes we got to come together and, settle the differences and just be honest and unbiased. Now, with that being said, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for the best Patriots content on YouTube. Now, I want to put this out there. Any prediction could be wrong always. Obviously, it's the NFL. The Patriots or the Dolphins could go in a totally different scheme than I'm even thinking. They could be trying something completely different than what I'm even thinking. There is a million ways how my prediction could be wrong, and I'm just a dude. Like, I'm literally just a dude in my house right now, and I have no affiliation with the Patriots. So I'm just giving my thoughts based on my football knowledge, which is extremely limited because of the fact that I'm not an insider for any team. So that should be obvious, but I'm just putting that out there, and it is week one, which makes it even harder because we haven't even seen these starting teams play together in a real trying to win type of way. But it's going to be an interesting matchup, and I think it's going to be a good game regardless of what happens. Now, the first thing I really just want to break down is how could the Dolphins win and how could the Patriots win? I made a video a couple of days ago talking about why I think the Patriots will win, and I still feel that way. I do think the Patriots, if they play in the way I think they're going to play and target their strengths the way I think they're going to target them, they will win. But the thing is that, again, things could go totally different. There's a lot of new faces on both teams, and these Pro Football Focus rankings that I use could be, they are from last season, so there could be just some huge differences that aren't really able to be predicted. Now, I want to talk about my offensive versus defensive matchups. I made this graphic for that video, so we are reusing it, but just it's going to make sense, trust me. So, here's the Patriots offense versus the Dolphins defense. You can see where I have my matchups because there's a black line connecting the two. And I had some Dolphins fans kind of comment and help me out. They said Rowe would likely be covering a tight end, not Holland. So there's that. I thought Rowe was kind of small. He was on the Patriots, so I literally have watched this guy before. I have a lot of experience with watching him and seeing him in practice, seeing what he does. And I didn't think that, but maybe he is better than Holland as far as size and ability to cover a tight end. I don't know what they do because I don't, usually watch. I've also heard Van Ginkel, or however you say his name, doesn't cover tight ends either. So maybe this is completely wrong. At this point, I think Patriots and Dolphins fans can come together and both agree that the two tight ends here, Henry and Smith, are likely going to have the upper hand on whoever they might try to cover them with. I don't think the Dolphins really have an answer for tight ends, and that might be one of you guys' biggest weaknesses on defense outside of the running game, is just not having that guy. And a lot of teams don't. I would say over 50% of teams don't really have a great tight end coverage guy, and that is a huge problem that teams have. Now, here's the thing. Looking at this right away, you could tell that I have on the linemen here. By the way, I want to mention this real quick. On the outside, both cornerbacks versus our wide receivers, I do have the Dolphins cornerbacks as kind of better than our wide receivers, obviously. I think our wide receivers are good, but their cornerbacks are really good. It's kind of like what we had with Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson, where it's very hard to outmatch those guys. And that's kind of how it is for Jones and Howard there as well. Do I think that the wide receivers could have some nice plays? Yeah, of course they could have some nice plays. And especially Nelson Aguilar, who is kind of hit or miss. It's hard to tell what you're going to get from him. Jacoby Myers is very consistent, actually. Obviously, I have the two tight end set here. I think that's going to be a strength of this team with the two really good tight ends, but they might not play in that. So again, the scheme could be totally different than what I'm thinking. And that would adjust what the Dolphins try to do on defense, which would mess up this whole graphic. So you can see how this could be totally different. But I try my best, obviously. Now, where the Patriots have to win here to win this game is to win in the run game. The two outside wide receivers are probably not going to outplay their cornerbacks. The tight ends, yeah, we could get some really nice tight end play, but typically, it's going to take more than just the tight ends to win by passing. You're going to need your tight ends and your wide receivers to participate in that, and I don't know how much production we will get out of the wide receivers in this game, to be honest. On the offensive line, that's going to be a strength this game. The Patriots have a top 3 offensive line, according to pretty much everyone, and also Pro Football Focus. Some people think number 1. I do not. I think the Browns have a better offensive line. and they're either number 2 or number 3. I think there's one other team that has a really good offensive line as well. Regardless, uh, Damien Harris is the number 2 ranked running back according to Pro Football Focus based on last season, where he played very nicely. Do I think he's the number 2 running back in the league? Absolutely not right now. He might turn things around and become that guy this season, but I don't think we can crown him that. But it just shows that the statistics are very nice. And he might have had some very good games, and he might have some not so great games. But last season, with the limited amount of games that he had, where he was the starter, it was very, very nice. He's a good running back. We can say that very safely. A very good running back. Potential future star. Now, with this offensive line against their running defense, the big question mark here is the Dolphins had a really bad running defense last season. Any Dolphins fan will tell you that, especially Dolphins fans, but other teams could see that as well. They tried to improve that. Now, if they can somehow stop the run, that is the Dolphins' key to victory here. That is the way the Dolphins beat the Patriots in this game, and that is actually, in my opinion, the only way they can beat the Patriots. If the Patriots have an easy time rushing the ball in this game, 3, 4, 5 yards per carry, I think the Patriots have over a 90% chance of winning this game. And you guys can come back. If the Patriots end up losing and they end up having a really nice running game, like, high yards per carry, just solid running game, dominant in the running game, I would be shocked. But you can come back and you can make fun of me if that happens. But I think the key to victory here relies on the run game for both teams. The Patriots have to win at the running game. The Dolphins have to win in the running defense. What I predict the Dolphins are going to try to do, this is my prediction on what their strategy is going to be. It's going to be stop the run at any means. They want to force our rookie quarterback starting in his first game to have to pass to win. They want Mac Jones to have to win, not the running game. Because if we get a running game going and that's our way of winning, we will likely win. But if they can stop the run and force us to have to pass it, that gives the Dolphins the highest chance of beating us in this game. Now, if they're trying very hard to stop the running game, that might be when our tight ends can get going. But if they succeed at stopping the run game, it's going to become predictable, and we're going to be, relying on the passing at that point, and that's when things will start to get bad. All right, I think that makes sense. Hopefully, everybody agrees there. I think that's pretty obvious here. I don't think the Patriots are going to come out, giving Mac Jones 30, 40 passing, plays. I think they're going to try to get him to pass, 15 to 25 times in the game and mostly run. We could see the Patriots run 60 to 70% of the time in this game if it's working. That's also the best way to slow down the Dolphins' offense, which let's move over to that. Dolphins on offense, Patriots on defense. Now, the cool thing in this video that makes it work this time around is that we see here that we have one way for both teams to win on offense and one way for both teams to win on defense here. So I gave my reason for why the Dolphins can win the game on defense and why the Patriots can win the game on offense. Let's talk about how the Patriots can win on defense and how the Dolphins can win on offense. Now, as you can see, this one's a little bit interesting. I have Devontae Parker over J.C. Jackson, but I do have Jalen Mills over Preston Williams. And I also have Jones over Waddle. I accidentally put a green arrow down there at the bottom that kind of goes underneath. That one was not intentional. Jones is, in my opinion, the best slot cornerback in the league. So whoever they put in the slot, if they run with a 3 wide receiver set, I think Jones is going to kind of clamp them down. Now, Mills, that's a little bit closer, I think. Whoever, I don't know if it's Preston Williams or whoever they put there. I think they could do some work on Mills, but I think Jones is going to do a nice job. Devontae Parker has always given us trouble here, let's be real, and I think he's going to win out that matchup there. And then Gesicki as well versus Duggar. I think Duggar's a really good defender to defend the tight end. Again, I was talking about how the Dolphins don't have a guy like that. Very rare that teams do in this league. But Duggar, I think, is a nice player, nice size, nice speed, good ability. I think he's the best bet to be a good tight end coverage guy, and we haven't really used him in that situation. Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. I have seen him do that. It didn't go too well, but I think he has potential to develop into a really nice guy. But this time around, Gesicki's a nice tight end. I think that he's going to get the upper hand a bit. I don't think he's going to, go nuts, but I think he will definitely outplay Duggar for sure. Now, the Patriots' key to winning this game on defense is going to be the pass rush. Obviously, the Dolphins don't have their starting left tackle. That's huge because their offensive line is already one of the worst in the league. And again, that's another thing that I'm sure Dolphins fans would tell you. And especially without their left tackle, that puts them at a huge disadvantage. That's why on these matchups here, you can see I have each pass rusher there winning over the offensive lineman. There's not a single offensive lineman that I think is superior to one of our defensive linemen in this game. Their left tackle that is out, I don't know for sure. I didn't really look into it, but he's not going to be here, so that's why. If we pass rush and get after Tua and they can't get the passing game going, I think the Dolphins are in trouble if we can bring a lot of pressure. Um, Tua is a sophomore in this league, obviously, and I think that he's going to improve. But any quarterback, when they're getting a lot of pressure after them, especially a younger one, is going to have trouble. And a lot of people have been talking about how the Dolphins' defense is going to, come after Mac Jones, and it is possible. But the Patriots' offensive line is great. I think the Patriots defensive line and the Dolphins defensive line is very, very similar in playability. We have Van Noy, we have Judon, who's one of the best pass rushers in the league as far as percentage. And then we have Barmore and Wise Jr. We have some other guys as well. I think it's very even. They both have okay players and then really good players on the defensive line. The difference is that the Dolphins' offensive line is no good. It's actually one of the worst, if not the worst, without their left tackle especially. The Patriots is a top 3 offensive line. And that's why I think, actually, if we see any sort of, sacks, it's going to be mostly against the Dolphins, not against the Patriots. That's just a prediction that could be totally wrong, depending on the blitzing schemes and other things. Again, schemes is what could really eat me alive here on these predictions. But I think here, Patriots have to get after Tua. They have to stop the run game, obviously. But I even think if the Dolphins can get the running game going a little bit, as long as our running game is going really well, I think we win. And honestly, I think the first graphic is a little bit more of key to the victories. The Patriots on offense, Dolphins on defense. I really feel like if the Patriots are getting the running game going consistently and they can't really be stopped, which is very possible with a very good running back and a very great offensive line, that's we're going to start smelling blood really early, and the Patriots are going to dominate the time, the clock. They're going to dominate the scoreboard because if they're consistently getting up the field with the running game and can't be stopped, that just spells trouble for the Dolphins. If that can't get going, the only other way the Patriots can win is if the defense is just playing absolutely locked down and getting after Tua. You notice, again, none of the offensive linemen kind of outplay our defensive linemen. That's both run game and passing game. The only place where the Dolphins here I have basically outplaying the Patriots, the Dolphins outplaying the Patriots here, is Gesicki and Devontae Parker. We're not going to stop that in coverage, I don't think. I think the only way to stop that is in the pass rush. So the only other way the Patriots can win is through the pass rush and the rushing defense in general and the running defense. The Dolphins, how they can win the game in this situation is if they do a good job at blocking against the Patriots here and keep the Patriots from getting after Tua and in the backfield in general, and they give him time to get it out to Gesicki and Devontae Parker. If they can get the passing game going and they just start eating us up with 200 plus yards, multiple passing touchdowns, that is the way the Dolphins win in this situation. But it still relies on them stopping the running game, I think. That's my opinion. The only way the Dolphins win here is if they get that passing game going, they block really well against the Patriots' rushing defense, which I think is a hard job to do. Nothing's impossible, though. And then they need to stop the Patriots' running game. They were already one of the best running offenses last season, obviously with Cam Newton at quarterback. That leans you even more towards a running offense. But they improved on the offensive line, in my opinion. On Wayne, who's heading into his sophomore year, they brought on Brown again, who played really nicely for us the first time around. We hopefully, fingers crossed, have a healthy win. That is a solid offensive line. Harris at the starting running back. Sony's gone. We have some other guys, Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is going to play with the finger injury. I don't know, but J.J. Taylor as well, and then James White. I think they should do a nice job at getting the running game going. The 2 tight ends could block as well. This is tough for the Dolphins. I'm not even going to lie, and I'm coming from an unbiased position here. If we were talking about the Titans, if we were talking about the Buccaneers, maybe, I think the Patriots might match up well in some spots against the Buccaneers, but especially the Browns, the Titans, the Chiefs, teams like that, I would be telling you that the Patriots are not looking good against them. This is an unbiased position. I'm going purely based on matchups, based on Pro Football Focus here. And I just think that the Dolphins don't match up well against us with the current players on both teams. We will know more as the weeks go by, and it might be a totally different story once we see them on the field. Again, it's week 1. A lot of these guys on both sides of the ball have not played for their current team. especially the Patriots, and we need to really see how they come together before we can for sure say anything. But this is just my predictions on what I think is key to the victory for both teams. Let me know if you agree down below. Again, be sure to like the video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for the best Patriots content here on YouTube. I will see you guys tomorrow after hopefully we've beat the Dolphins today. But even if we've lost, we will go over what happened. It's going to be a lot of fun these coming weeks as we actually have some regular season games to talk about, guys, and I can't wait to do it. I'll see you guys in the next video.